Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chair Sessions with Dr. D. On the line with us today from sunny Tampa Bay area, Florida, I've got two members of the high-energy band that delivers super-powered grooves of funk, soul, reggae, rock and roll. I'm talking about the band Phoenix 5. I first saw Phoenix 5 at the Florida State Fair earlier in the year. Amazing performance, high energy. I was inspired to take some video. The most challenging part of taking the video was keeping my hands still because I was bopping around to the music. So it was an amazing show, amazing first experience to Phoenix 5 for me. So we're going to be talking to Phoenix Gonzalez and Joe Pascual from the band today, and they're going to be talking about the band, their music, performances, and some very exciting news that sounds like we just heard about it today, but I'll let them talk about it. So, with that, I want to welcome aboard Phoenix 5, Joe and Phoenix.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Yes, honor to be here.
Glad to have you guys here. And so I know there's some really exciting news, and I'm so tempted to talk about that first, but let's talk about, let's give our listeners a little intro about your band and how this all started. I mean, you guys are blazing a trail there in the Tampa Bay area and beyond.
Yeah, I can give you a brief history on the beginnings of the band. So we're California transplants, moved here like 3 years ago from Los Angeles. And I've always been playing guitar all my life and been in various bands in Los Angeles. I played guitar for Hendrik Crouch's church. Very lucky enough to be, part of that group. Amazing, fantastic musicians. And when we first moved to Florida, we didn't really move here for the music scene. We really moved here, during like the heart of COVID. We were locked down for a lot longer there than people were here. So a million of us left that year from California and moved here to Florida. And for a whole year, really didn't play any music. And we went to a jam session over here in Lakeland where we live. And unbeknownst to us, they have live music over here at Leo's Live almost every day, every night. And we're like, it's like 5 minutes away from where we live. So it was like, my mind was blown. And I asked the bartender, I was like, well, what's your favorite night? And he was like, well, Thursday nights. And I'm like, well, who plays Thursday nights? And I'm sorry, Tuesday nights. And who plays Tuesday nights? And he's like, well, it's a jam session. I'm like, there's a jam session? 5 minutes from the house. So we went over there and, played guitar, and the person, Billy Long, who basically mans that jam, really looked at Phoenix and said, well, Joe, you're an interesting guitar player, but, I got lots of guys who want to play guitar. I want to hear her sing. And Phoenix has never really been in bands. She sang a little bit. She was really kind of like my roadie as a guitar player. Okay. But I've always known that she's had a secret voice that people have never really heard. So she had to get up there. Otherwise, I was like, well, then he's not going to let me play if you don't sing. So selfishly, I forced her to go up and sing. And everybody was like, well, who is that? And keyboard player from the jam session, the bass player, Billy, who's still our bass player today, they all said, well, we need to form a band. And that's really kind of how it all began.
So it was right after COVID, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, it was, we started the band at the end of 2022, going into 2023. So, yeah, the first year that we moved to Florida was still in COVID, but it took a year for us to stumble upon Leo's and get this band off the ground.
And that was act one. I would say act two, because that really just had us like a hobby. We would play gigs once in a while at Leo's. It wasn't anything serious. Mm-hmm. But River of Green Festival in Tampa 2023 was supposed to happen on a Friday, and it was going to rain that day. So the mayor of Tampa said, well, we're going to have to do it on a Saturday, and they lost all their acts. And for some reason, unbeknownst to us, they called us to play, and we had no idea that we were headlining.
Oh,
until we
wow.
get there. And I think there were like 20,000 people that rolled through that
Woo!
park that day. And there were thousands of people in front of us in this huge stage. And literally, to me, and like again, I've been playing in bands all my life, but to watch Phoenix, who's also my wife, get up there and turn into a rock star in front of my eyes
Whoa!
was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had. And then, because of that, we went, okay, I guess we're gonna have to take this seriously.
I would say so. So Phoenix, baptism by fire?
Yeah, totally baptism by fire. That's like one of my favorite things to tell people. I am a big believer in baptism by fire.
Wow.
We pulled up to the park. We had no idea. We started loading out, went down to the stage, and we're like, okay, great. What time do we go on? And what time do the rest of the bands go on? And they're like, well, you guys are the last band. And I looked at Joe and I was like, I think I'm going to pee my pants.
Oh my God. That's a cool story. That's a cool start. And I have to say, I'm really surprised at the other part of the story, which was that as far as you being a performer, a singer, was relatively new for you? Is that right, Phoenix?
Yeah. So, I mean, I always knew I had a voice. So I've been an actress. I've been a beauty queen winner. I've done an entrepreneur. I do all kinds of things. I'm not like afraid in any way, but when it came to my singing voice, I'll be honest, like I got my ego bruised when I was 19 years old. I was supposed to be in a girl band, and none of the girls in the band wanted me in the band because I had never been in a studio, and I choked in the studio. So after that, my best friend, who was our manager, told me, no, they don't want you in the band. So I literally stopped singing for the rest of my life. Like, I hid my voice. I only sang like in the shower, or like if I was on a train listening to my Walkman or my earpods, or if I was in a grocery store somewhere and I heard a song and I would sing, and people would always come up to me and say, oh, you should be singing. And I was like, no. And so I pretty much hid it, until I met Joe. And when I met Joe like 20 years ago, he started to get me to like sing in church and maybe sing a little backup here and there, and maybe sing a song once in a blue moon. And we've been together 18 years, and literally I always considered myself his roadie. I never considered myself a lead singer. I supported him in his bands until who knew that moving to Florida was going to put me on this trajectory. But it's the best thing that could ever happen.
I mean, I love talking about and hearing about revivals of music, of spirit, of talent.
Yeah.
That night that I watched you guys perform at the State Fair, I would have never known that was your history. I mean, the performance, the singing sounded like you've been doing it for years and years and years. And so it definitely sounds like you found your niche, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think...
or one of them.
Well, and just to interject, that night at the River Oak Green, it was like she flipped on a switch, and what you experienced at the State Fair was exactly what we experienced on stage with her that night at River Green.
Very cool.
Yeah, I always tell people, I think had I have been successful as a singer when I was younger, my ego would have gotten in the way. And I think as an adult, much older, being tasked with the opportunity to be a singer now, I don't have an ego about it. I'm there to do a job to entertain people, because I'm blessed with a gift that's supposed to be shared so it can inspire others. And I'm not in my way the way I was when I was younger. So I really believe that at this time in my life, when we talk about revival, I'm not in the way of being a performer. It's not about me. It's about the people who are there to receive the light and love that music and that vibration and frequency has.
Woo, amen. Wow. Powerful statements right there. And definitely statements that are real. That's what I felt that night. Wow, like you're carrying out a larger role. And it's funny how things come to us in their own time. Sometimes when we're better equipped to handle them or to deal with them in in a good way. Like you said, you talked about ego possibly maybe getting in the way if this had happened earlier. So you came into it with when it finally hit you, it was kind of like you had that wisdom of, I'll call it maturity, whatever you want to call it, the wisdom of experience. And that allowed you to kind of keep it all in probably a healthier perspective, in a good way to be able to share it in the most effective and profound way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that's I think when we surrender ourselves to a higher power, I watched Joe go through it, going from being a working musician in Los Angeles and moving to Florida, and for the first year not basically surrendering and giving up music in a sense because he had no idea where to even start. I think when we surrender, the path that's laid out in front of us as a result of that surrender it's incredible.
It is incredible. It's like we start off with, it's like we clear out all the whatever you want to call it, all the stuff we don't need from our pasts, and here we have this clean slate, and it's just like we have all this space and energy to fulfill everything we're designed to fulfill and to carry out, like you said, a larger plan. So that's a great story. Those are the stories I love hearing about. Those are the stories that I love talking about on the podcast. Thank you for sharing all of that. So let's talk a little bit more about the band. Somebody want to introduce the band members? You've got quite a lineup there, a lot of talent.
Yeah, we love our band. It's an interesting thing. Like again, none of us really knew each other all that well before we started playing together. So we've got Bill Kennedy on bass. So Bill is a veteran of the music scene. He's from Pennsylvania, moved here a long time ago, and has been in almost every band you can think of in Florida. He saw us perform, that jam night on Tuesday, and he literally walked us and said, "Hey, I'm your bass player." So that's kind of how that happened.
Nice.
So let me see who's next. Well, me and Phoenix. So I'm on guitar. Phoenix is our lead singer. We've had many different drummers roll through. All of them were amazing, great experiences. But we always wanted somebody who could also sing. So it's sort of like one of those things. And we found that in Devin Marcus McCants. So Devin, we discovered. We should discovered Devin's been in bands, forever here in the scene as well. But we discovered him at another jam in Winter Haven, and was just really blown away with his musicality. I mean, I don't know if he sang some songs when you were there at the State Fair, but we call him our secret weapon because he's not only just an amazing drummer, but then he starts singing lead vocals, and then people stare at me and stare at everybody up front going like, where's that voice coming from? And I always have to move. Yeah,
yes. I was actually just going to say that night, he's got like a dynamic skill set. I call them superpowers. That exact same thing, exactly as you described it, happened when he started singing. I was looking around. I was like, where is that coming from? And then I had to move around a little bit and say, wow, the drummer you don't see that too often.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's and it's an interesting thing. I mean, when we talk about the Yleo thing later, there's some really great things that I think you love about that, what we're doing with Marcus, with that in particular. But he really is our secret weapon. He's there's something about drummers that are also amazing singers. They play the music differently. They play the song. They're singing as they're playing drums. It's a remarkable thing. I've always loved being in bands where the drummer also sings.
Yeah, I feel like they have a different processor.
They do. They absolutely do. Yeah. Yeah, and what a dexterity. I mean, just people asking now, how do you sing some of these songs and play drums at the same time? And I love his answers. Always like, very carefully.
Good answer.
Do you talk about John?
So that's Marcus, and then John. Okay, so we've also gone through a lot of keyboard players.
God bless
in the last years. God bless all, unbelievable. And that was by far the hardest position to really fill in the band, only because, the scene in Florida is very much, catering to tourists, catering to that. And sometimes a keyboard player can do a one-man show and get paid a hell of a lot more money than being a keyboard player in a band. Let's just put it that way, right?
Right.
And a lot of them that discover that, they end up carving a career in Florida, where it's really hard to get them to commit into a band setting, only because it cuts into their income, because they do so well playing solo gigs or duos. And so we went through a lot of really great keyboard players, but it was really hard to sort of like have one as a main keyboard player until we decided that we needed to invest in a younger guy.
Let me
go ahead,
John.
Yeah.
So when John came to us, we met him at the jam. So everybody in our band, we met at a jam, at the jam. And John showed up at the jam just after our keyboard player and us had parted ways. And he came in with green hair, and he had
a Casio keyboard.
Yeah, a Casio keyboard controller. And everybody was like, "Hey, who's this new kid?" And everybody started calling him Sidekick. And he played his heart out, but he was green. And
and he had never really listened to any of these songs that we do.
Oh,
this is not his genre.
Oh, okay.
He's in his early 20s, and I don't think. I mean, I'm sure he's heard of who Al Green was when we first met him, but I don't think he'd ever really listened to an Al Green song. And it's the same thing too. We got booked in a festival here in Lakeland, and we really needed somebody to sub on keys. And because we knew him at the jam, it was baptism by fire. We literally had no rehearsal. We just asked him to play with us. He did one set. He survived it. We asked him that same night to play another gig for 4 hours. He survived that. And then he kind of was like, our sub every time we needed somebody, until it got to the point where we were like, you know what, we really need to have somebody who's really gung-ho, who really wants to be here. And every time he played with us, he learned new songs. He got better and better and better. And
I think, he's one of those people who's super determined. Like, he would go away and I would talk to him on the phone, and he would see other keyboard players playing with us. And he was like, "Phoenix, I'm seeing, Chase Dixon playing with you, and I'm practicing he's like, I'm a keyboard player."
Yeah.
Like, he had knowing that he needed to be our keyboard player. And we all knew that we wanted to give him the chance.
Yeah.
So he just kept practicing and practicing. And when he got the next shot, he literally showed up, and he was like, everybody looked at each other on stage and was like, "Wow." You're really well.
Wow.
Yeah, to the point where we could not do the show without him anymore. We had to tell all of our other keyboard players that play with us that, sorry, we can't. You don't know these songs as well as John does now.
Nice.
And now he's from that Casio keyboard controller to a Moog synthesizer to a Yamaha motif to a Kumar organ. He's got 3 keyboards and a whole setup, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, the setup that night too at the state fair, and again, I'm a little surprised by this story, because he's the relative newbie to the band.
Yeah.
And that night you would never know it. So how long was he in the band at that time? When that was, I guess, State Fair was that January or February?
State Fair, he was probably in for I don't know. Well,
we'd known him for a year. He'd played a couple of shows, but when you saw him at the State Fair, he was literally at Christmas. We sat him down and had a discussion with him and said, "You're going to be full time. You need to have a discussion with your partner. You need to make sure you guys are on the same page. You work full time. You need to communicate with your job, because you're getting another job right now, and we need you to take this like a job." And he did.
Wow.
Yeah, and now he's writing songs with us.
Yeah, we're doing a song tonight.
That he wrote.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, there's one more person, right? So Tony Robinson goes by a lot of different names, but Tony Robinson, our percussionist, is probably one of the most talented people that we know in Florida.
Yeah, he's so talented. It's incredible.
He really, his first instrument is drums.
That's how we met him.
That's how we met him as a drummer. And if you ever get to catch him playing drums, you're going to be blown away, because he's another guy who can sing and play drums.
And guitar.
And he has another band that he plays. They don't play as often as we do at Phoenix 5, but it's called Magic Toast. It's a 3-piece. Him, drums and bass, and he plays guitar, blues guitar, and that. And you would think that that's his main instrument, that he plays guitar and sings.
But when he joined our band, it literally was what had happened was last summer, because I'm new to Florida and I was dealing with adjusting physically to Florida, I was dealing with allergies, but we didn't know I was dealing with allergies, and I started losing my voice. And so I went to an ear, throat, and nose doctor after 200 shows of singing 4 hours a night, 3 nights a week, Marcus singing a couple songs, but me carrying pretty much the whole night. And we found out I had bruised vocal cords. So they put me on strict vocal rest for a month, on steroids for 13 days. And the band looked at each other and was like, well, Joe's got to learn more songs. Marcus got to learn more songs. And we need to get somebody else to fill in. So Tony jumped in, and we knew he wasn't going to be a guitar player, and he wasn't going to be a drummer. So he decided that he wanted to pick up percussions and add percussions to the band and be a singer in the band as well. So there's 4 of us that sing lead, and everybody else sings backup. And Tony became, along with Marcus and myself, one of the leads. So he also has been an amazing addition to the band. And his conga selection and timbales and everything just continues to grow.
So again, another one of the superpowers that I noticed that night at the state fair was him on the congas was, I mean, in addition to just the talent on the congas, it was the performance. There were some little breaks where he got away from the congas. He was out dancing and singing, and then back to the congas real quick.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a workout, but you could see that the talent was not only on the percussion but in the performance and in the vocals too. And all I kept thinking to myself that night was, wow, every one of you that night, like, you could just see the great talent and multi skills that each one of you had, and all of that put together made such a amazing dynamic performance. I came back to New Jersey from our trip to Tampa that week, and I was like, wow, blown away. And I had the videos, put the videos together, but it was very inspiring. And so
it's really fun for us, and a lot of it is like sometimes we have to play gigs for 4 hours. It's like a normal thing to do here, and you start solving a lot of those problems of how do you keep an audience entertained for 4 hours, and how do you keep yourself like sort of in it for 4 hours, and really we have so many faces to us now because of everybody that's in the band.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe when Tony's singing. It's a different vibe when Phoenix is singing, but it all sounds like Phoenix 5, which is a miracle that happens. But we're just really blessed that we have all these different sides to us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Phoenix, as far as your voice goes, I mean, it sounds like everything is pretty much back.
Yeah,
right?
It's interesting. I thought that the ear, nose, and throat doctor thought that I had, I just stressed my voice out because I was singing so much. But I think what I heard internally was that I needed some self-care and some self-love, and I needed to create a boundary. And I was literally doing too much in the band. I was singing 2 to 3 nights a week, and I was singing like the majority of the night, and I was going really hard because I had no vocal training. So I went out and started working with a vocal coach. I started working with Kat Agner. She's an amazing vocalist here in Polk County. She became my vocal coach. I started, really learning about the allergies in Florida, because I realized it was really allergies, and it wasn't just like I lived in California for 25 years, so I never had allergies. Moving to Florida, I literally started dealing with allergies that I'd never thought that was a thing, and that was affecting my voice.
Wow.
So it was making me tired. So I started learning about how to treat myself, what to do, strengthening my vocal cords by going to a vocal coach, and really, also figuring out with the band how we could carry the load together and not one person get taxed on singing, but really divvy it up in a way that we all are collaborating. So that's why Joe sings some songs, Tony sings a lot, Marcus sings a lot, and I sing a lot. And now John's singing, John's going to be singing eventually too. He does back up with Bill, but he's going to be singing. John actually raps now. He has a rap that he does in one of our songs.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So that's a real cool, I think so. You hit the nail on the head, because I was going to ask you what you do or how you maintain it, and you answered it perfectly. I mean, it's like not just one thing. You have a whole system of self-care, and it involves kind of like divide, not being afraid to divide up the roles in the
Right.
band, and so to split everything and to manage everything and to equalize things so that your vocal cords don't have to get stressed out, and there's enough talent in the band to kind of everybody can take over. And that's also great because if somebody's having a bad night, there's more than
Right.
one person that can help
Oh,
pick
100%.
it up, which is
100%.
such
Yeah.
a
And the upside to that is that, we want to be able to if we have to play for 4 hours, we don't want filler. Like, we want the 4 hours to be entertaining the whole way through, and this is the only way we can really achieve that.
Well, you guys do a great job with it, from what I saw so far,
you.
and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again on our next trip out there. So there's another side. I guess it's a side project that is
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
𝘗𝘩𝘢.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, 𝘗𝘩𝘢. So 𝘗𝘩𝘢 is a Santana tribute that we're just getting off the ground right now. And really, this is sort of born, when Tony joined the band and started playing percussion. We started doing some, I've always played, I love Santana, obviously, and, it's a huge inspiration for me as a guitar player. And I always get the, hey, man, you got like Santana vibe to you, and you got you do that Santana thing really well. And so, Tony and I was like, okay, well, why don't we, take this a little bit more seriously and really go for it? And it really kind of took on many different layers for us. One is, obviously there's a whole tribute thing that's like really big now in every scene.
Yes.
But it's sort of like a hit and miss situation. A lot of tribute bands are like, it's almost like you're watching a cosplay. I mean, I don't want to, say anything disparaging towards a lot of that, but a lot of it is like very calculated. We want to make more money, and tribute bands get paid more.
Sure.
It's sort of like riding a wave.
There's a demand.
For us, we're kind of doing it for a different reason. We're doing it more so because, we predominantly here in Florida, we cater to, people that are visiting the state, and we play at the beaches, we play in all those different places. And, a lot of times you can get considered as like background music and
Right.
stuff like that. And we've never really wanted to be that as Phoenix 5. And we really noticed that there's sort of like a disconnect sometimes with people thinking of like, live music as like akin to like listening to the radio, and they don't really understand the vibrations that a live musician, especially when you have percussion instruments involved, can do to you, And so for us to do the Santana tribute is really more so because we want to we want people to sort of like catch that vibe of what it feels like to have those types of instruments playing, that type of instrumentation, that kind of musicality where it really moves air and it moves vibrations. And when we do it at Phoenix 5, because we do like 4 or 5 Santana songs, like you said, we did at the State Fair, we can tell even with younger people who've never even heard of Santana, they flip out when we play, Soul Sacrifice, because they've never experienced something like that with those percussion instruments. We all play percussion on it at one point, and it's very tribal and it moves air. It's quite a tactical thing that's very different from what they normally get with just a normal sort of like, band setup. So that's the big reason why we're doing it, and that's what's getting us excited.
Yeah, that's cool, and that's actually what resonated too that night. I remember. I can't remember which cover or two you did, or maybe it was even a mashup of some Santana. But you talked about moving air and the vibrations. It was but then that translates into bodies moving, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I was having a hard time doing the video because I was kind of bopping around and wasn't able to hold the camera still, but because I was having such a good time. But definitely, it was definitely vibrations that move you, and not only viscerally your body, but I think internally too. You're just getting into that groove, almost like a trance-like primitive. And there, of course, the percussion is just can get you into that primitive trance-like dance. Which
exactly,
which takes you away.
it takes you away, and it's it's a gumbo, right? There's a lot of ingredients that go into that. There's certain stage volume you kind of have to get into.
Yeah.
There's a certain sort of like level, and it affects you from a body perspective, And I've been lucky enough to have seen Santana live.
Yeah, same.
And
Yep.
that's what I walked away with that, right? Like it's a real visceral experience. So
Yes.
that's what we really want to. That's the big reason why we're doing it, and it's a slightly different makeup. When we talk about our secret weapon. Marcus, he's actually singing up front because there's a different drummer on 𝘍𝑗𝐽𝑚. So
Okay.
𝘍𝑗𝐽𝑚's drummer is Andy Garcia. He's actually Tony's drummer at Magic Toast right now. But he's going to be the drummer on that. And the rest of the band configuration is the same. On larger gigs, we're going to have 2 percussion players, one more on top of Tony. So it mirrors the Santana tribute thing even closer. And also a horn section, which we do with time to time with Phoenix 5. We have a horn section too, but with this, we're also doing that as well, where we have a separate horn section.
Very nice.
And I think that's the other thing that it's a revival show. We're going for not your traditional tribute band and a little more off Broadway meets tribute. It's we're really
It's an
giving
experience.
It's an experience. Yeah, like from the minute somebody buys a ticket till after they leave our show, there's a complete fan engagement experience.
Immersion.
That is the
immersive experience.
Very immersive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So from the time they buy a ticket till after they leave the show and go home, they're going to be taken on a journey with us. So there's a little bit more than just I'm buying a ticket to see a tribute.
Yeah. And that mirrors what we're experiencing with it, because with Phoenix 5, we play a whole array of different songs, from reggae to Santana to funk to all of that, and we're identifying there's certain places where we want to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And we may not be able to do that as Phoenix 5, but then we'll create an offshoot of that so that we can, explore it, not just for us, but for the audience to really dig deeper into it.
I think if you look at Joe and myself, we're entrepreneurs. We own a tech company, so we like to incubate things.
Very nice.
So we approach things as businesses that we can incubate. So inside of Phoenix 5, we're incubating different genres or different artists that we might want to expand on and do things like tributes. So that's a little bit about us.
Yeah, very cool.
Outside of our music life.
That's a diversity of vibrations there, all kind of wrapped up into all of your talent. So you talked about some of the inspirations and some of the influences for Phoenix 5. I can tell you some. The Santana covers were fantastic that night, and I've got some of them on video, which I'm going to put them in the liner notes for this interview, so listeners will be able to go and link to them. Also, we'll link to your webpage if people want to find out where you're playing and get more information. But the Santana covers were great. And also, you talked about the funk. So there was a great, some Motown, Stevie Wonder, I think we captured some of that on video.
Yeah.
And the Prince cover, I was blown away by that. So
he's our secret weapon. Joe at the end of the show is the secret weapon.
Prince, one of the influences?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of part of the same lineage. I mean, Santana was a huge influence for Prince. So, yeah, as a guitar player, definitely, but also from a musical, I want to move air and create vibration. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, you were channeling. No doubt that night you were channeling. Yeah, it was amazing. So a lot of exciting diversity in the talent, in your performances, the set lists that you and the artists that you're influenced by and get to pay homage to. So that brings us to some very exciting news. It looks like that just came out today. For Phoenix 5. Tell us about that exciting news. I'll let you guys talk about it.
Yeah, so we bit the bullet and we decided to submit ourselves for this year's round of American Next Top Hitmaker. And it's in association with Rolling Stone, SoundCloud, and Fender. And we decided to submit ourselves. And so there's many rounds. There's probably, I think there's 6 or 7 rounds of voting. So it's a fan voting competition. And we've made it through. We just found out today that we had advanced in our round to top 5. So now it's, in our group, to top 5. So there's now voting for top 5 in each group. There's multiple groups. And from there, then you go to quarterfinals, and then wild card, then semifinals, finals, and winner. And the winner gets to play at the Global Citizens Festival in Central Park in New York later this year. I think it's August or September, and it's $50,000 cash prize, along with Fender donating some things, and SoundCloud. So we're just going to keep going. Our fans are rallying behind us. We were kind of trepidatious at first, like, are people going to stick in it for the long haul? Because it's a lot of voting. Like, it's every day we're asking people to vote. And that really requires you to do more than just ask people to vote.
Yeah.
So it's really forcing us to open the kimono, share the behind the scenes, give people more insight into the band, and really, get our fans talking with us about things they love. And, it's been a lot of fun. I'm getting to create these really amazing videos with different people and with our band and bloopers to share with people. So I think, beyond the competition, it's just a lot of fun creating this content that we're getting to share about the Phoenix 5 world.
It looks like a lot of fun, and those videos definitely look like a lot of fun, and and they're helping. I mean, but what's really fueling this is the talent that you all have, so we'll put some links. We'll also put some links to where people can vote into the liner notes of this interview also. And if people want to vote,
our website.
Yep, and
they can go to our website.
Yep, on your website, people can find the links to vote on your website. What's the website?
Yeah, our website is Phoenix 5. So Phoenix, the number 5, the word live.com. There's a voting link there. Also, if people want to find us on social, they can keep up on the videos we release every day. So it's at Phoenix, the number 5 live on Facebook and Instagram. And people will discover the videos, and there's always links in the videos or in our bio, depending on what platform you're on, to vote every day. And as long as we're in the competition, we're going to keep asking people to vote. So I tell everybody, don't get sick of me, but I'm going to keep asking.
And like I said, we'll definitely help out. We'll put the links to your website and to the America's Top Hitmaker voting link. If people want to click on that, they'll be able to find it once this video is up and posted. Oh, before we go, want to talk a little bit about some projects in the work as far as some original works?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this competition is really kind of, accelerating that whole thing for us.
We have a couple already.
We do originals in our normal sets as well. As a matter of fact, when we opened for Arrested Development last year, we were on Fox News with speech on an interview, and we also got to play on TV at Fox, and we did one of our originals, acoustic version of it. So. We all write songs, amazingly enough. All of us write songs even before we formed this band. Just the requirements of like the gigging life in Florida sort of like forces you to play a lot of covers, obviously. Yeah. But that's something that's always like near and dear to us. So it's a great opportunity for us to use this competition to get a lot of that stuff out. So we're actually in a recording session this evening, and
great.
Hopefully we're going to be launching an EP very soon.
Great. What not to give too much away, but what will be the influences for the recording project?
It's all vibrational air moving,
All right.
It's really what it is. And you'll hear all the instrumentation, the percussion in it, and the funky grooves and harmonies and all of that sort of stuff. But it's stuff that'll make you move.
We are on a frequency of love, and that's what we're here to deliver.
Amen. And thanks for coming on and sharing that all here. That's what we're all about here too. Congratulations and good luck.
Yeah, we're having a really good time.
Amen.
We're very, very grateful.
And I hope to see you guys out there when I'm back in the Tampa Bay area. We'll catch up. And if the listeners want to cast a vote, they'll be able to cast a vote by going to your website. And they'll be able to check out some videos, live performances across Central Florida, West Coast of Florida, Tampa Bay area, right?
That's correct.
Again, thank you guys so
Yeah.
much, and we will talk to you
Thank
again
you.
soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
♪